from Richard's Guitars. Today I want to talk to you about one of the difficulties in providing a real high level of quality control on guitars which are ever increasingly squished in price. It's something that is difficult to, it's difficult for me to focus on certain price points when the market is being squeezed all the time with margins, with what I call like a fast food delivery service, on a product that really does require a lot of work in order to make it what we want it to be. So it's something that I've struggled with for some time. These days I don't let it worry me so much. I just focus on the higher price points. But ultimately, it does make me conscious of the fact that it creates a little bit of a... it's a shame that people of a certain budget don't necessarily have such access to what I do. But anyway, I'm going to try in this video, try and explain what we do and how it would significantly benefit somebody who is looking for a guitar at a relatively cheaper price point. Now, I'm not talking, as I'll show you from this demonstration now, it's not a cheap guitar, but the example hopefully will illustrate the pitfalls and at the same time demonstrate why, when you see a difference in price at the lower level, when you see our price relative to the cheapest price, why that differentiation is there. On a high value guitar, so when I say a high value, my average sale value is about £750. So anything between 750, say, and 1500, which is the general gist of most of my sales, we can soak up the discounting of the guitars so that we're still competitive with other people and we're providing all the added on value as well. That's the perfect position for me. The bit I feel bad about is that people at the cheaper price points don't get the access, as I've just said, I'm repeating myself, but they don't get access to our level of service. Because either I just won't bother listing products, or my prices will be higher, so therefore people think that they'll get it from somewhere else because it's cheaper. But let me show you what happens when you get something that is cheaper. So what I've got in my hands here is this is a great example, because this is why I want to show it you. This is actually a guitar for a customer who's placed an order already on my site. It's a VGA 900 by Vintage. So it's a Vintage VGA 900. Now, Vintage is a brand that I promote, and it's a brand that I have a love-hate relationship with. And hopefully I won't get my account closed for saying this. But the reality is, vintage guitars are a product that can be absolutely fantastic. Okay, so the results of what can be achieved with a vintage guitar are really quite staggering. Right? They're great value for money. But that is kind of the problem, which is that in order to make them incredibly good value for money, there has to be, and there just has to be, and this isn't a criticism of the product, there has to be an element of that will do. Okay, that'll be okay. That will do. We'll put that one through. So once it gets to me, because their niche in the market is that will do, and my niche in the market is that won't do, that is where we get the snag, which is me trying to provide a guitar that will do under my quality control level, which means we have to put in extra work to make things as good as we want them to be. So hopefully that makes sense. If I was just sending the guitars in boxes, these guitars would be largely received by people that probably, many of them, wouldn't know the problem with the guitar anyway, because they can be beginners buying the guitars, or they can be very experienced people just on a more restricted budget. So excuse the phone ringing. So because these guitars go to people who probably wouldn't know the problems anyway, they become sold by shops that don't hand finish the guitars, classic mail order scenarios, that sell at the cheapest price. And then in order for me to provide the guitar that I want to, I've got to do all the work in the instrument to make it play properly. I hope that makes sense. Everything's pinging around me now. I should have turned everything off. Anyway, hopefully everyone will be patient while I go through all this. So this is a great example. This is the VGA 900. Now I've just looked at the price that I've been selling this for, because I've been competing with online discount stores. And this was a certain price. I won't say the price. Well, I will. It was £289. And in order for me to sell this guitar at £289, I will make £50, okay? I'm going to tell you exactly how much I make on this guitar. So I would make £50. Now we charge £55 for a guitar to be hand finished, okay? So if somebody comes into my shop, we charge £55. And that means that guitar will now play to perfection. The fret ends, the nut slots, the bridge, the whole shebang, and we charge £55. Now, so why should I sell a guitar, deal with the customer, give the advice, then hand finish the guitar, play test it, pack it, dispatch it, deal with the follow-up backup service on the guitar for £50, when I charge £50, £55 for a guitar to be set up privately in my workshop? I may as well just set up guitars and not sell guitars at all. It's basically like getting a free guitar. As far as I'm concerned, it's a setup with a free guitar. So that kind of demonstrates why I can't justify selling this guitar for £289. And if you look on my website next time you look, by the time this video's out, it'll be £329, okay? So once you take the tax off that £329, I might make £70, £75. So you have to make a decision when you buy a guitar from me, whether you feel it justified that I make £75 for the amount of work I've done in the guitar, or £50. I don't mind either way, because my focus will be on something else anyway. But I just want to make it clear and honest about how it works. So let me show you what you would get for your extra 20-30 quid that you'd spend buying it from me over a mail order company. Now, first of all, the guitar is actually a really lovely guitar. So whether you buy it from me or anyone else, I'll give you, a bit of an overview of this particular guitar. So it has nice abalone inlays, solid spruce top. It's kind of got a grand auditorium feel. It's a bit like a Taylor guitar. This is definitely a this is Taylor-esque. So they've obviously been inspired by Taylor guitars with this one. Mahogany back and sides. So solid spruce top is the key to this. The other thing is it's got a nice Fishman pickup system. It's the Priestess one, isn't it? Or Isis Plus. Bass, treble, phase. It's got a phase control, bass, treble, tuner. A perfectly good quality pickup system that you will get in more expensive guitars with a built-in tuner. So overall, it's a pretty nice looking, nice feeling electroacoustic guitar. One of the things that we have to sort of do with vintage guitars is look for the quality, any kind of quality kind of issues. This one nearly became one, but this is something that I think is perfectly acceptable, and that is, whether you can see it, this kind of there's a slight miscoloration here. But this is really very, it probably looks so like nothing to you. But this will give you the example of my fanaticism. There, almost, but that is just part of the grain, part of the finish. I don't think that is an issue, and so that one made it through. But if that had been a really nasty kind of gout, I don't know, or not even really nasty, but something that looked really kind of cosmetically incorrect, but I think that's pretty much in keeping at the price of the guitar. So that will go through. The next thing that we look for is the height of the saddle. Okay, so there we want good downward pressure over this saddle. Okay, that downward pressure is really, really important. That downward pressure ensures that the energy is going into the guitar and over the pickup, because there's a pickup, a piezo strip under here, and it's really, really important that that is flat. So one thing we do is we take that saddle off, we make sure that the underside of that saddle is perfectly flat, so there is perfect contact transmitting the energy through into the guitar. That's really important for a good, evenly balanced pickup sound. So that's one of the things we're doing. But very importantly, once the setup is complete, if you look at that, that saddle still needs to be relatively prominent, okay? We don't want that to completely disappear into the body of the guitar. If it does, that basically we'd reject it. If it becomes completely flat with this, that's not a good sign. Check your guitar now at home and see if that is flat to the body of the bridge plate, because it shouldn't be really. Now then, here's another bit. Right now, the action, I want you to see what the action's like on this. Now, the action is obviously the important bit with playing. Now, I'm going to show you this. Now, hopefully, right there, it's my eyes. If you see that action on there, now I'm going to push this down so that you can see it. That is not good, okay? That action is high, okay? Look, that's high. And what I'm going to do is, I want you to remember this, because I am going to get this guitar all hand finished in our workshop, and I'm going to bring it back so that you can look at it afterwards, see the difference. Now, as well as the action that is high, something that you won't be able to pick up on here is the fret ends, the edges of the frets. Now, the fret edges, the importance of having the fret edges, when you're playing the guitar, you don't want your thumb dragging along sharp fret ends, or your fingers down here. It just feels cheaper, feels cheap. Now what we do is Chris in the workshop will literally round off every fret end. Okay, so every fret end is rounded off. So you get this very comfortable played in feel, someone might say. That's played in feel, so it feels like lumps rather than sharp edges catching on your fingers. So that's something that will be done in the workshop too. Might be worth keeping an eye on how shiny the frets look, because when it comes out of the workshop, this will be very shiny. So they should look polished up as well. And also, sometimes you get this sort of rough edge. Ooh, hang on. Hey, there was a little black blob up there. It's gone now. Now then, so yeah, rough edges, rough frets, all of this is done in the workshop process. Now then, this bit here, the nut. Now then, have you ever tuned a guitar and as it tunes up to pitch, it suddenly goes ping? That pinging noise is the sound of the string in here catching inside the nut, okay? So, this is really, really important. Every single nut slot will be filed to make sure that the string is fitting perfectly in the nut slot. Now what that will do is it will make sure that the guitar will tune much, much better. You won't get that kind of gripping on the string. So when you go to tune it, the tuning will be stable and steady, rather than lots of pressure, then ping, it pings into place. It's a real nightmare for tuning instability when the nut's not cut correctly. So the technician will make sure that the string slots themselves are nicely cut, that you've got nice smooth running of the string, but also that the string height is correct as well, because the action is partly to do with the nut slot down here. So there's also a metal bar in here called a truss rod. Okay, so this metal bar puts a curve in the neck of the guitar, and that will also be part of what Chris will do to bring the action down on this guitar. So at the moment this guitar feels, I can feel when I play the chords, you're not going to be able to see this, but when I play the chords, the strings are pushing up into my fingers, okay? And it makes it much, much heavier to play. And if I come up here, the chords are much tougher to play. If I play up here, real, much more difficult than it should be, okay? And now for you know, so the thing to, now this is where I come back to the point of the video really, is that, you know, you can spend £289 on this guitar. So what do you get for £289? Well, in reality, I can supply you a guitar for 150 quid that would play better than this guitar. £200, I could, you know, for 200 quid, you'd get a guitar that plays better than this one. So why spend £289 on a guitar if it's not better than something for £200? It just doesn't make any sense. So if I'm going to supply a guitar that is about 300 quid, then I've got to look at what I can sell it for and still warrant the amount of time and hassle and energy that will go into this guitar to make it perfect for you. So this isn't about me and, you know, me not being able to feed my children if you don't buy a guitar from me. Forget me. And there's nothing worse than a whinging dealer, whinging about people undercutting them. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you're in business and you create a business and provide a service that people want to buy from you. And if you can't provide a niche, you can't provide a reason for someone to come and buy from you, well then you've only got yourself to blame. What I'm talking about is you making a decision about getting the best guitar for your money. So you can either spend £289 and get this, or you can spend £329 and get a guitar that is guaranteed to be perfect, has hand-finished frets, hand-finished nut slots, action that plays like butter, and you've paid a few extra quid, but you've got a lifetime of benefit. The other thing that to counter an obvious argument is, well, why don't I buy the guitar for £289 and then get someone to set it up? Right, well, I'll tell you why. Because if the person who's going to set the guitar up for you finds that there is a cosmetic blemish on the guitar, or cosmetic imperfection, or there's a bit of an issue with the guitar, it's highly unlikely they're going to ring you up and say, oh, by the way, really, you ought to get this guitar send it back under warranty. They lose money because they're not charging you for the work they've done, unless they're going to charge you for the work as well, which means you're out of pocket anyway. You know, a guitar technician is going to do what they can. It's important to bear that in mind, that you know, buying a guitar and then having it set up afterwards is an option, but it's a hassle, real hassle. I suppose what I'm doing is providing peace of mind and a guarantee. So what I'm going to do is, rather than not sell these guitars, because ultimately there's no point in selling them and making less than I sell, do a private job on when someone brings a guitar in privately. You know, I'm going to put this video online, let you guys see exactly what's done, let you know exactly what I make on the guitar. And then you can make your own choice about where you buy your guitars from and who you recommend, I suppose. But I'm going to get this guitar set up now. Okay, so you've seen it before the setup. There it is. So 12th fret is a good place to see. Bang, there. Okay, keep that in mind. Obviously other aspects of the guitar you can't really tell or feel, but at least you can see the action. And I'll come back for part 2 with it all done. Okay, bye.